Hello, today I want to talk about a movie that I think I might be the only Westerner that has ever seen this movie. It's called Sex and the Pachinko. Now, this was a movie that I never intended on watching, not something I looked for. I just walked around a book off one day, as I did many days, and this movie just caught my eye in the shelf. Because with a title like that, I get interested, because first of all it sounds like Sex and the City is the first thing I think of, and so it's parody of that or something, and also it's because it's pachinko, and like pachinko is the most boring thing ever. How can you make that even remotely exciting? Well, maybe if you have some sex in it, then yeah, maybe it could get somewhat exciting. The movie came out in 2012, directed by someone named Takazawa Yoshinori, and he apparently has done a lot of these kind of movies. It's like what is this movie? Well, it's comedy, it's sort of a chick flick, and it's also kind of like softcore porn. It basically has 6 actors in it that aren't extras, and a lot of the extras also repeat if you see in the movie. The 3 main characters are all women. It's the main character is Risa, and then her 2 friends Tomoko and Yuki, and they all have stuff they want to achieve. They're all unhappy with their current position in life. Risa works as an event planner for some company, and she is stuck planning kind of boring stuff. Like in the first scene, they're selling takoyaki somewhere. I don't even know why that is an event. You can just go to any shop or restaurant anywhere in Japan and find that really easily, but there you go. And she screws it up also by flipping over a table. She's a klutzy, I guess. Her friend Tomoko works as an editor of some kind at a pachinko magazine, and she hates doing that because she wants to work for like a real newspaper, or at least something better than just something related to pachinko. And I understand her plight, definitely. And the third girl is Yuki, and she's works for some kind of beverage company, maybe like Sapporo or Asahi or something, or yeah. She basically just wants to get married and stop working altogether, it seems. She's 25. She's not married yet, and she's 25. So she's feeling the pressure to get married. All 3 characters frequent this pachinko parlor, where they just play pachinko to unwind and relax and have fun, even though I don't know what kind of fun there is to be had, because pachinko sucks. The other 3 characters are all men. It's Risa's boyfriend Jun, who we will find out throughout the movie that he is a bastard. It's the pachinko parlor that they go to. The manager there, I think his name is like Masashi or something. They usually just call him Tensho, which is just like manager. I think they say his name. I think it is Masashi, but I'm not entirely sure. I could be hearing that incorrectly, because I have, it's a little trouble for me sometimes to hear what they're actually saying. And the third guy is Naoto, the boss of Risa's event planning company, and he is really strict, and that's pretty much his character. There is sort of the 7th guy, I guess, who's not an extra, is the pachinko professional guy, who we'll get to later, but he's not that important anyway. So now I watched this movie. I've watched it several times because I also made a subtitle for the movie as a bit of as a Japanese practice, pretty much. I went through the movie, and first I had to write it all down in Japanese, just make a Japanese subtitle pretty much, and then translate the Japanese to English. However, when I just took it down to Japanese, that's really hard, because I got like 80% or something. That I just listen, and it's like, okay, there's that word, and then I don't understand this word, but I just look it up and thought, oh, it must be that word, because of the context it has to be that word. But then there's still those words that I just can't hear what the fuck they're saying, or I do hear what they're saying, but it sounds exactly to me like a word that does not exist. That happened a lot. So, but I got a Japanese friend of mine to go over my first version and correct some stuff, and now it's pretty much complete. Although there's stuff that he couldn't understand either, because there were some, I think, pachinko-related terms that he doesn't know about. He doesn't play pachinko either. Good man. So we're just, we're in the dark, both of us, on that point. This movie was kind of a fun experience, actually, because it's I don't know, it's just interesting to watch a movie, a little bit of a wacky movie from a different country with a different culture and everything. And now I want to spoil the whole movie for you, pretty much. And I know some people don't like that, so even though this movie hasn't, I don't think, it's only available in Japan, in Japanese. It's never going to get translated by anyone other than myself. I can pretty much bet the farm on that. But still, if you feel like it, then spoiler alert, don't watch this movie that you're never going to watch anyway. So these three women meet in the pachinko parlor. They're all friends in the beginning of the movie. They talk to each other and they think of a plan to plan an event at the pachinko parlor that will make Risa in favor at her company, and then Tomoko can write about it, and Yuki can deliver, be in charge of the drinks and stuff, basically. So they start the first idea. They have two in the whole movie. There are two schemes for them to become, successful and stuff. And the first one is to make the pachinko parlor into, after 5 o'clock or something, make it into like a hostess club, pretty much, even though it's not. But they come up with the idea of the sexy coffee girl, where they dress up in nice clothes, and they offer massage, and they offer drinks, and have this just aura of a hostess bar, even though it's not a hostess bar. And it seems like a good idea, right? Because the clientele is all male anyway, pretty much, except for them. Yeah, sure, why not, I guess. But it backfires. Because the customers get all handsy, and the massage, the customer gets really handsy, and is for Tomoko, they all gather around her, and she's all really popular. Unfortunately, one guy wants her to become his girlfriend, and then she doesn't want to, and then he just goes very unconvincingly crazy with anger and starts tearing up the place, and then a huge fight ensues, and chaos. And then the pachinko parlor has to shut down because of, I think, some kind of health code violation, or there was like, because they were selling alcohol without the permission or something. I forget exactly what the reason was anyway. So, especially Risa is then very sad that it didn't work out, and also she apologizes to the manager, who's like, no, it's okay, and like, you can tell he's bending over backwards, because he's like, no, it's fine. We needed to renovate anyway, so the fact that we have to shut down for a few weeks, it's fine, it's okay. And Risa's boss is strict with her again, just like he was in the beginning. He's like that the whole movie. The second scheme is to have a pachinko tournament. So they have a pachinko tournament with some kind of pachinko master, celebrity guy. They get him to even be there on the promise that he will win, which he's the pro, so he will win anyway. But then, they have to promise him that he'll win, so that he, in return for participating. So they do that, but unfortunately, somehow Risa doesn't get the memo. So because she's really good at pachinko, it's established in the second scene, pretty much. So basically, she wins the tournament, which was a no-no. She's like, and then Tomoko gets all really upset, which is understandable, but Risa doesn't seem to understand. I don't know if I don't know. Anyway, then they start fighting, and then everything's sad again. And then we have to go back a little bit to talk about Jun, the boyfriend of Risa. And I told you he was a bastard, and then why? Well, first, that's also a part of the big part of the movie, the whole softcore part that I excited you with earlier. That comes in with him and Risa because they're a couple. The thing is that these three women, I looked as far as I can find with their profiles, whatever, all three are former porn actresses. But all three want to elevate themselves. They want to do more serious stuff, pretty much, in real life, I mean. So, in this movie, Risa, the main character, is the only one who has sex. The other two, sex in the pachinko, but the other two, well, it's implied that Yuki has sex, but it's not shown. However, with Risa, it is shown. Not explicitly, because I said softcore, not hardcore, but basically she has 3 big sex scenes. And they take up like 2 minutes of nothing but all that kind of stuff. So you can either, depending on your inclination, you can just fast forward to those through those, or just get a nosebleed or whatever. But yeah, first sex scene, Jun has sex with her. But then he, as the first, I think the first event goes awry. Yuki, who lost her chances at getting, she was trying to get in with the manager, and with the event failing, she doesn't, feel no confidence whatsoever. So she breaks down and cries in some park somewhere, and Jun is there to comfort her, and then he has sex with her off screen, and then Risa, after the second sex scene, finds out that he was cheating on her. And obviously she's angry at him. But it's also just to put little extra salt in the wound, even though she doesn't know it. We have a scene where he goes to the bathroom and he's drinking some kind of energy drink. And he's like, oh, it's so tough being so popular. I just have sex all the time. It's so hard. Oh, woe is me. And I'm like, you fucker. In the third sex scene, which doesn't go as far as the... Well, actually, yeah, it's not the third sex scene, but there's sort of in between number 2 and 3, there's one that almost... It starts but doesn't go all the way, so to speak. Because at this point, when she's broken up with Jun, she gets asked out by the manager. And then when he takes her to his apartment, but he puts on a blindfold, and when she notices, and they start having sex, and then she notices like this feels wrong, and then she takes off the blindfold, and it's Jun there fucking her, and it's like, and of course she doesn't like that, and then she wrestles out of there, and then sees that Yuki was there too, and they were. Basically, Jun and the manager met, and they decided to get a double date going without the girl's knowledge. Great idea, guys. And yeah, it ends as you would expect it to end. So now they're all very upset. Risa lets her unhappiness show at work, which leads to a really funny line, actually, because she's like really like this at the computer, and the strict boss comes up to her and is like,
成立なら帰ってもいいんだぞ。
そんなんじゃありません。全くろくでもない男。セクハラで訴えようかしら。
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, everything's bad, but she gets... Then sort of randomly, the boss is like, come with me, and then he shows him to the bar where the other 2 women are, and he sort of forces her to make up with them so that they can plan the big one. The big event that Risa mentioned in the beginning of the movie, called Edo Rock, some kind of concert, I guess. A big concert, and then, the other 2 schemes was for her to move up so she can move up to the big time and make this big thing. Unfortunately, here because the movie is only like 74 minutes long or something, they just skip on the whole ending. like this is the part of the movie where you would have a long scene or something showing her doing all that. They just sort of flash forward from there, and then explain that everything solved itself, that they did Edorok with the help of the other two, and it all turned out great. Meanwhile, also after the boss helps her to make up with the girls, she's very grateful to him, and actually sort of an emotional scene there, which actually works with the acting and everything. However, it's then ruined because they have a sex scene right after, because, of course, that's the third sex scene. Because, surprise, surprise, he loved her the whole time. And the thing is, with this movie, like, in general, like, I like it overall. I think it's actually pretty decent. The production values are pretty low, but it's like, it has some humor. It has some kind of storyline going on, but the actual sex stuff drags it down because it makes it feel really cheap. Especially the main character, because she's the only one who's in the sex scenes. I don't know. It kind of feels like if they just made a porno, then you know what to expect. But if you're trying to make sort of a real movie and then have just a bunch of sex gratuitously, it's just, I don't know. It lets the movie down a little bit, I think. And one more thing I have to mention with the whole production value thing, like I said, you notice the extras are being repeated over and over. The same guys that are at the takoyaki thing in the beginning are also in the Pachinko parlor later. And one thing that I do not know if they did on purpose or not is the sound effects. Because on occasion they do have a sound effect that is correct. Most of the time they use really weird and terrible sound effects. Like whenever they have some kind of whoosh, they have like a poof instead. Just see what I mean with this clip here.
おじさんじゃないんだから。
おじさんって何よ。私そうなの25よ。お店が営業停止？公安委員会の通達？
とにかく私はこれで業績上げて移動したいの。
Are they serious with those sound effects? Or is it's like, oh, we don't have any good sound effects? But they must have done that on purpose, because there are a few other parts where they have whoosh sounds that sound natural. I guess it's just their idea of comedy. It's just I'm a little bewildered by the whole thing. But yeah, it's a funny experience to watch this whole thing. And this movie, believe it or not, has a sequel that I also saw in the same book of store. They actually had both of them. I didn't buy the second one, however, because I felt I just gonna see the first one first and see where we go from there. But I've done a little Googling, and the second movie is not directed by the same guy. So I don't know if that makes it more or less interesting, but I think I will watch that one day, actually. Stars different people, so it's not a direct sequel. It's like maybe you can call it a reboot, reimagining, a spiritual sequel. I don't know exactly. Pretty much just in the name, well, in sequel in concept only. I mean, it's just decent overall. Believe it or not, I saw a Yakuza movie starring two guys from Yakuza, one from Yakuza 5 and one from Yakuza 0. That movie, while it had a better story and acting in general, it had worse production quality because they had a cameraman who had no idea what he was doing. Looked really, really cheap. This actually looked better in production quality wise, but so yeah, I've experienced this crazy movie, and you can't because unless you know Japanese and buy it in Japan or from Amazon or something. However, as I said, I did a subtitle of it. It's not a perfect subtitle because I'm not perfect at Japanese at all. However, it does exist. And if you have any questions, you could email me. And then, yeah, I have something in my eye, I think.